you just starting out in business, or do you feel like you've been at it for a while, but you haven't really started yet? I completely understand. I talk to people about this all day, every day. And after almost 9 years since I started my business, I have been thinking so much lately about how much things have changed over that time. I wanted to do something a little bit differently today. And so what I'm going to do is share with you some of the things that I would do if I was just starting my business in 2023. I feel like these days there are so many options available to us for different offers, different services, different software, and different things that we could be doing or using or buying in our business that it can be really difficult to know where to start and what to focus on. And when I first started out, there weren't as many options as there are today, even of different platforms and different kinds of content that you might want to make. So I'm going to share with you some of the things that I would do first up if I was just starting out this year. But before we dive in, this episode is sponsored by my Emerge Business Accelerator program, which is 6 weeks to creating your core or signature offer, building a really simple website, getting that up and running with a clear message for your people, getting your email list and all of the tech set up, as well as your opt-in and your email nurture sequence. And we're going to do that in an accelerated way together. You can learn more about the program in the description or at emergeandexpand.com/accelerator. And there's an incredible early bird introductory offer on at the moment. So make sure if that sounds like something you're interested in, that you check that out. Now, this is something that is going to take time and patience and is going to evolve as you do. But the first thing that I would actually do in my business is sit down, maybe carve out an afternoon and start piecing together parts of my journey that have got me to this point that I'm at now. Most of us, when we're starting out in business, have some idea of what it is that we want to do and who it is that we want to help, or an area or subject that we are particularly interested in. And so you may or may not have an idea already of what it is that you're wanting to do. I know when I was first starting out in my business as a coach, I thought that I was going to work with people who were in a similar position to where I had been not that long ago. I was coming to 10 years working in my career and realizing that that wasn't something that lit me up anymore, or the direction that I wanted to continue going into my 30s. And so I thought that that's probably who I would be working with. I built my offers around that idea and that messaging. I wrote content about that. And it took me a year to realize that the things that I was talking to people about were about their energy, about being more introverted and starting their own businesses. If I was just starting out today, what I would do would be to start to think about the kinds of things that have happened to me in my life that have been a part of my journey, the skills and experiences that I bring to the table, the goals that I have for myself, and the way that I already know that I like to work or work best. This is something that took me years to figure out in my business. And honestly, that was the big thing that led to huge burnout for me and walking away from my business for nearly 3 years. And so actually knowing, hey, I'm not going to be the kind of person who is ready to go at 9 a.m. on Monday morning. And how can I start to build a business that aligns with who I am and how I work best first? I think in many of the marketing messages out there, we're told we need to pick a money-making niche and that we need to be focusing on specific things and have those pieces in place before we can properly get started. In my experience, that is absolutely not how it necessarily works. You probably already have skills and experiences that you brought to the table before you even decided to become a coach or an energy healer or do the work that you are doing in your business. What I would also do, and what I currently do and share with my clients as well, is to actually make sure that once I've got that planned out a little bit, schedule in time each month to check in, review how things are working, how I'm feeling. Am I on track with maybe the goals that I'm working towards? Is my business and the day-to-day operations in alignment with my values and also the kind of business that I want to create? Because when we don't have that clarity, we can head off in a direction and look back 6 months later and be somewhere completely different to where we wanted to be. Business is a consistent cycle of plan, do, and then review afterwards. And that is how we start to build a business that we either love, or when we forget to do this and check in regularly, one that we can end up really not liking that much without really knowing how we got there. The second thing that I would do would be to create a feedback loop. And I would do that really early on, even while I was still figuring out my website, my messaging, and my offer. Now, what I mean by this, you may have heard referred to as market research. And that's where you make a list of people who are in your industry, check out the work that they're doing, check out the messaging and the questions that people are asking in their communities, in their social media comment sections. And while that's definitely one thing that you can and probably should do at some point, I've always found this to be so impersonal and can sometimes lead you into comparing yourself with other people or thinking that you should be doing things a certain way. What I mean by creating a feedback loop and why it would be something that I prioritize really early on is where you put out content, where you share ideas, where you document your journey in a way that is going to engage with people and help you to understand what resonates with them if you're calling in or speaking to people that you really want to work with, and start to help you build an idea of who you're actually speaking to. Without this, it can feel like yelling into a void and not really knowing, do people even care what it is that I'm talking about? I did so many different things in the early years of my business. I started my free introvert community that was linked to my podcast and invited people to ask questions, to tell me what it was that they were looking for. I ran free workshops to not just get experience for myself, but to also be able to create that feedback loop. It's things like inviting people onto a call to answer a couple of questions or setting up a survey to get an idea of who is actually in your community and what it is that they're looking for, so that you can start to decide, are these the things that I want to talk about, or do I need to shift my messaging because I might be actually calling in people who aren't aligned with the work that I want to do. To be honest, this actually requires its own video because it's such a big topic, which I'll be sharing in an upcoming video because I think it's really important and I think it really helps with the actual content creation process and with building a community early on, as well as being able to maintain, nurture, and grow it over time. When we have this feedback loop, we can actually be in connection and community with our people, and we can make sure that we're creating offers and content that are going to really help them. So that you hit that subscribe button if that's something you're interested in, because it will be coming up very soon. But what I would do to make this super simple step is to actually just pick a platform that I would start sharing ideas, thoughts, and stories on, and start that feedback loop early. I would probably start with a free Facebook group. And what I love about a Facebook community or a similar kind of community is that you have control over who gets to be in that space, versus on other platforms or in other formats where it's kind of a free-for-all where anyone can see what it is that you're sharing. I would do this as a way to start practicing, getting more confident, talking about the work that I do, refining my message, connecting with people, building that inner circle. And then I would set myself up to repurpose the content that does well in that group later on across other platforms. The next thing I would do would be to create a foundational offer. Now, in the program that I did, there was a whole focus on starting to think about your niche and your messaging, setting up your first offer and starting to build your actual business. And it was recommended that we start with a 3-month coaching program. And that's probably what I would start with. By this point, I might have already started building my community and talking about different things in relation to my own journey that allows me to build connection with people and then be able to invite those inner circle people to maybe a free call and to an introductory version of the program. So I could start to experiment, test things out, really ground it in and get some testimonials and feedback. That is exactly what I did in my business and what I would do today as well, and do sometimes when I'm introducing a brand new offer. I like to really thank and make a big deal about the people who are in my inner circle community because they've been there for so long. And so I will often do special VIP offers or offer them invitations before I promote it more publicly, because I really want to thank them for being a part of my community. Now, I don't necessarily think that these steps would go in a certain order. When I first started my business, I already had a website up and running because I had been blogging for a couple of years before I even thought to create a business. I also know people who have booked out their coaching or their services and only had an Instagram account or a calendar link that they could invite people to book in and pay for a session. So I really think that there's no right or wrong way to do this, but I would definitely make one of my early focuses setting up my website, even if it was just a really simple one-page website that showed that I was a real person and that this was an actual business, because I think that it really helps to build credibility when you're inviting people to sign up for your services. I feel like I was really lucky because I spent a couple of years building some of the elements of my website and then having my newsletter and email list up and running. And so I didn't have to do all of those things at the same time while I was trying to launch a business and start working with clients. But if I was starting today and I didn't have any of those things, I would definitely just focus on getting something really simple up and running, knowing that I would be building and improving on that as I go. And also that the messaging would change pretty quickly, because that's exactly what happened for me. Within kind of the first 6 months of starting my business, I quickly outgrew that. And I feel like if I'd spent too much time and energy either building my own website or paying somebody to do it for me, that would have been a huge investment of time and money wasted, because I started changing things almost straight away. What really helps is to have something up and running so that you can get started. And that's when you start to get more information and you can tweak and evolve it from there. And the other thing that I would really prioritize as I'm getting my offer up and running, I'm starting to share a little bit with my community, building a website, really simple one to get started with. I would also be focusing on setting up a simple email list, creating an opt-in offer that I can invite people to check out and get feedback on, and build a couple of emails in a sequence that welcome people, deliver that opt-in gift, and invite them to take the next step with me or join my free community. I know a lot of people focus on things like Instagram and getting their social media all up and running before they start building an email list, but I would want to get this up and running super quickly, because as long as you are on somebody else's platform, you're always renting space on there. I would take a look at my offer and the information that I was getting from both the people who are maybe working with pro bono or that are joining my introductory offer, the people who are joining my community, or that I'm coming across when I'm interacting and engaging in other spaces, to create something really simple that they could action straight away. I create something really small, set up an email list and a couple of emails to welcome people, give them that opt-in offer that they have signed up for, and then tell them a little bit more about me and my work, so that people who are ready for the next step know exactly what that step is. And this is a little bonus 6th step that I decided to throw in at the end, because I think it's something that often gets overlooked. The reason that we sometimes can feel overwhelmed, or it can feel like things are taking so long to get off the ground, is because when we're left to our own devices, there are so many distractions and other variables. There is overwhelm and not really knowing the best steps to take to get to the result that we're looking to get to. For this reason, I've always worked with coaches myself and people who can help me with the thing that I'm most trying to achieve. I also know that when you're just starting out, it's often not just a big learning curve when you realize that there are so many different moving pieces to consider, but also that you're kind of sitting in a room on your own, building all of this stuff, and it can get really lonely. So another thing that I would absolutely prioritize would be in joining a community or getting accountability, working with a coach in some way to get that support, to have that guidance to check in with and make sure that what I'm focusing on is actually going to move the needle for me and my goals, and get that additional support of someone who either knows what they're doing or has been where I am right now, that could speed up the process a little bit. I spent so many hours and so much time frustrated trying to Google and learn things myself. And whilst I wouldn't change any of that because it has allowed me to learn so much for myself, what I know is that I could have taken so much time out of the equation when I was first starting out. So I would definitely be looking for somewhere that I could get accountability, support, and strategies and ideas that I might not know yet that would help me to use my time and my energy efficiently so I can get on with the thing that I really want to do, which is to work with my clients. And this is exactly why I created the Emerge Business Accelerator, because over the years, I've worked with hundreds of coaches, healers, and other service-based solopreneurs. And I know that these steps can feel like I can't really get started until I have these in place. But some of these things can take a really long time to get up and running. Whether you're doing it yourself and having to learn this whole other skill set that you probably never thought you would have to know, and then you started a business and suddenly you not only have to be an amazing coach, a social media guru, someone who knows how to do sales and marketing, you also have to learn your own graphic design and website design, or you have to invest potentially tens of thousands of dollars to get someone to do that for you. I know that this can become a huge block in the road for many people to get get up and running. It can also get so overwhelming when the thing you want to do is actually show up and support your clients. And all of a sudden now you have to have a website, an email list, a strategic freebie, and all of the other little bells and whistles that come with having a business. The accelerator is literally what it sounds like. It is 6 weeks to come together with a group of people who are all either starting out and wanting to get these foundational pieces into place, or people who are in a transition phase and looking to just refine their message, start to make some tweaks to their website, and make sure that their online presence is reflective of where they are in their business right now. Instead of feeling frustrated that your email list isn't up and running yet, or it's one of those things that keeps falling to the bottom of your to-do list, being embarrassed to share your website with people because you know it's not what you want it to be, or it doesn't even exist yet, and not really being clear on your message and your offer so that you can actually start working with clients. We're going to come together for 6 weeks to map out your offer, make sure that it is clear and a great starting point for you to work with. We're going to build a really simple 3-page website with your sales page for that offer. And I've got simple templates that are going to get you up and running really fast, knowing that you can evolve and refine it as you go. And we're going to pick out one little piece, one little step, and create a free offer that you can create really easily. Again, I've got more templates for you to do that. We're going to set up your email list, get those pieces all connected, and have even a couple of welcome emails for people for when they join, so that you've already got those foundational pieces in place, and then you can start to actually work in your business. I've never actually even seen an offer like this before, and because it's the first time I've created something like this, not only is this at a special introductory price, you're also going to get extra support of weekly coaching calls, feedback reviews, done with you support and content, all of the templates that you can possibly need to get you started, and an additional 3 months of support after we finish up the 6 weeks. I created this because I know this is something that would have helped me when I first started out. I know there are so many people out there who this is the thing that is getting in the way of them sharing their magic with the world. And I know if I was starting out in my business today, having this kind of support would help me get out of my own way, get out of my head, and get stuff done, get the support and guidance that you would get from spending thousands of dollars working with a coach, and being able to get on with the things that are really important, which is why you started your business in the first place. So I hope that this gave you some insight into what I would do if I was starting out in my business today. There are a few other steps that I would definitely include once I got these basics up and running. I'm going to include those in some future videos. So once again, make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on those. Leave me a comment below if you think there's anything I've missed, or you have any questions about these steps. And if the Emerge Business Accelerator sounds like something that's for you, I will pop all the links in the description below. If you have any questions at all about it, if you're not sure if it's for you, or there's any questions that I haven't answered, please feel free to reach out. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will catch you in the next one.